If you like this video, subscribe to my channel, but let's get right to it. I was at my best friend's wedding this past weekend, Stu and Holly, and we're really excited for them. And when we finished the next day, we all decided, the boys went and saw John Wick 3, a matinee, and the movie did not disappoint. We really enjoyed it. It picked up exactly where it left off from the second movie, John Wick 2, Chapter 2. I will get into some spoilers and stuff like that, so if you don't want to watch the video, come back later after you've seen John Wick 3. But let me tell you, some really cool things happened in the movie. So obviously, he's on the run, he's got some time, he's trying to, he's got till 6 o'clock before, you know, the $14 million price on his head gets announced. So he's got a little bit of time, so he's running. And, you know, he got, every one of these movies he gets beat to hell, and he's almost near death. So that's kind of the way it was at the last film. Shot, stabbed, death. So he goes to a doctor, and he's carrying around the gold coins. But first he had to get some gold coins, so he goes to a library, and then he fights a giant. And when I say giant, this guy's like 7'5", and he's got giant, he's like an oversized person, and grabbing John Wick by the head and slamming them all into bookshelves and all. Dude, the fight scene was great, and he fought with a book, and he finally killed the guy by hitting the book in the guy's throat over and over and over again until the guy died. And I don't know if that was a basketball player or somebody like that. I don't know where they found that guy that played the giant, but he was pretty badass. So John Wick, the price is on his head. He goes to a doctor, and the doctor starts to sew him up a little bit where he got stabbed with a knife and healing him, but then like the clock's gonna tick, and next thing you know, he can't help him anymore, so John Wick winds up sewing up himself, and then the doctor tells him to take some pills. Now this was key to the film as far as I'm concerned, because you know, it's a mystical world, you know, with the Continental Hotel and all this stuff that goes on in these films. And when I say mystical, I mean like they've got access to things normal people don't have access to. Like, for example, the doctor said, take 4 of these pills, your pain will go away, and it'll give you amazing energy. And so, because that's the thing, like, how does John Wick keep going every single one of these films the way his body just completely destroyed? So he chucks down 4 of these pills, and the next thing you know, he can keep on fighting throughout the rest of the film, and no matter what happens to him, he manages to keep fighting. Great stuff when he gets to the horse stable, you know, the horse and buggies around Central Park. He gets in there, and what's really cool is when these bad guys are walking up, he smacks the horse, and the horse back kicks like the guy and flies him across the room. He did that twice. That was so awesome. The crowd cheered every time that happened, but they only did it twice, which was good, because if they'd have done it more than that, it would have lost its excitement. I think people would have been like, so it was really good. Gets on the horse, you know, and then he's running around, and he's, you know, killing people with the gun, with the horse. One thing leads to another. He finally needs to get this passage out of the country, because his goal is to go see the people that are above the table of people that control everything. And so he goes to Angelica Houston, which was a pleasant surprise. See, when I went into this movie, I didn't go look and see who all the actors were that were in the film. I didn't go do any homework like that at all. I just wanted to go into John Wick and just have at it. So Angelica Houston, it looks like she raised John Wick and helped cultivate some of the skills that he had, like the tumbling and the fighting and grabbing people. And there's this montage where you see all these people, these kids that were like abused, but in a way that made them stronger people. And he asks for passage, and she gets him passage to Casablanca. While all this is going down, Ian McShane's character, who still is like the purveyor, the guy who owns the Continental, or head of the Continental Hotel, you know, in the last film, someone was killed in the Continental Hotel, which is against all the rules. And then instead of killing John Wick, which is the penalty, he excommunicated him. So then there's a price on his head. So they send Asia Kate Dillon, who I love from Billions. The character in Billions is fantastic that Asia plays. And so right off the bat, I'm like, yeah, she's in this movie. And she didn't disappoint at all. She played a very straight and narrow, by the book adjudicator who oversees everything that the council basically wants done, which are the people above the people above the people. And so that was really cool. She came in and she was throughout the entire film, which was a lot of fun. Halle Berry, of course, was the big, she played Sophia, and she was the big draw of this next chapter. She basically is the head of a hotel like Ian McShane was over like in Casablanca, where she's at, and John Wick needs her help to get to the people, because basically he just wants forgiveness, and the only way he's going to be able to survive is to join, because he retired in the first movie and was given an out, and now he wants to join the assassins again and have a chance at redemption so that they don't kill him. That's the only way he can figure out in his mind to settle the score, because he just keeps annihilating everyone, all the assassins. He's killing everybody. So Jerome Flynn is in the film, and I loved his character because they go to him because he's like the only guy that knows how to get to the guy that you need to get to. And Jerome Flynn is in Game of Thrones, which I love his character in Game of Thrones. And basically, we go to a place where they mint, in all these movies, they got these gold coins that are expensive, and that's how they kind of pay. It's their own currency. And we see where they mint these coins, vats of this stuff being churned out. And that was really cool to see that aspect to it. Halle Berry, again, I got to go back to her. She has these two Belgian dogs, Malinois, I think they call them. I could have correct me in the comment section below, but they were just completely badass. They were completely trained to a T to do anything she wants. And so she, in some respects, was like more lethal than John Wick, because not only could she fight like John Wick, she had two dogs that always had her back, that were biting people in the balls and grabbing onto people that were dead and dragging them and jumping up and all the stuff you see in these agility courses that dogs do, where they run and they climb walls and everything. Her dogs did all this stuff. It was some of the best action in the movie altogether. Was those scenes there. John Wick finally gets to meet the man of the man who is above everything. He says, all right, you got to do, I'll let you back in, but I need a sacrifice. You did all of this for love. And he was like, that's what he did it all, the memory of his wife. He wanted to keep living, John Wick, for the memory of his wife. So anyway, John Wick, there's this nasty, gnarly scene where he sacrifices the wedding band and just laps off his finger and just chops it right off as a sacrifice in order to re-enter the assassins like guild, and then they send him back to New York. And he goes back and meets Ian McShane again. There's a big gun battle, and you think everything is like going John Wick's way, and he's fighting all these people and everything. And then he's double-crossed at the end by Ian McShane, shot several times, and he literally falls off the rooftop of the Continental, hitting everything on the way down and on the ground. And then you think he's dead at that point. John Wick is dead. And then, of course, Lawrence Fishburne's character, some people pick him up, put him in a wheelbarrow, take him to the underground, because Lawrence Fishburne's character was the adjudicator, played by Asia, went to go see him because he had provided a gun to John Wick in Wick 2, and so he had 7 days to get out of town, or they were going to slash him 6 times with a sword, and it was just one thing after another. And I really like these films. At the end, you think John Wick is dead, and you think, okay, the story's over. This is it. It's encapsulated. Next thing you know, John Wick comes to, and Lawrence Fishburne's character was really mad, and he goes on this tirade about how he wants to get the people at the council, the people above the table, and just tear down everything because they took all his power away and they slashed his face and all this other kind of stuff. And then John Wick, of course, is pissed that Ian McShane shot him a couple times and he fell off the top of the Continental Hotel. And again, I think the only reason why he survived the fall and the shots is because he took the 4 pills in the beginning of the film that gave him some sort of like superpower, soldier power, that he could just keep going and not feel pain. And of course, it ends where John Wick looks up and up at Lawrence Fishburne, and he's half dead on the ground, and Lawrence Fishburne goes, "We're gonna get revenge. Are you mad? Are you really mad? Are you mad like me?" And John Wick turns up and looks and goes, "Yeah, I'm mad." And then it ends and the credits roll. And then a day later, 2 days later, they announce John Wick 4 is going to be out in 2021. I mean, look, it reminded me of that one movie with Jason Statham where he got the heart, he got the serum, and he kept going to fight the guy with the serum, and then the next movie he was shocked and he had to keep shocking himself to keep going and fighting and fighting. I can't, for the life of me, I can't remember the name of those movies right off the bat, but it's like he can't die, like John Wick can't die. And although I am excited about a 4th film, we got to get to some sort of conclusion to this whole thing, and maybe the 4th film will be the final chapter where he takes out the table and becomes the king of all of everything. But, you know, if Ian McShane was quick to double-cross him, I'm not too sure Lawrence Fishburne wouldn't double-cross him in the 4th film as well once he gets what he wants. Because the ultimate deal is you can't... Everyone has to kill John Wick, or there's not going to be any kind of resolution, because he will just keep killing people and not dying. And again, some of the action sequences, I'll just say this: the knife in the eye was one of my... I cringed like this in my theater seat. The knife in the eye, if you've seen the movie, you know the shot I'm talking about. It was brutal. The sword fighting was great. The ninjas on the motorcycle. I mean, everything was great. The dogs, the whole 9 yards. I give John Wick 3 an A. I really enjoyed the film. What did you guys think of John Wick? Let's talk about it in the comments section. Are you excited about John Wick 4, which is coming out in 2021, because they've already made the announcement? I mean, it's making bank. The 3rd film is making more money than the 1st film and the 2nd film. It's just, these movies get better and better as time goes on. As long as these action sequences just keep getting better and better and better, I think we're going to have a great franchise here. I'd love to see them wrap it up in the 4th film and not make this a 25 movie James Bond thing. I mean, look, Keanu Reeves is 54 years old. You know, I mean, I know that's age is not a thing. Harrison Ford's 76 doing another Indiana Jones film. I get it. But these type of films, I mean, how much can John Wick's body take as a character? I don't know. But let's talk about it in the comments section, and we'll see you on the next video.